Heyo! Welcome to Bloodhouse, the show where we talk about art house horror movies. I'm your host, Joshua Conkle.
And I'm your demented, I don't even want to afflict myself with anything from this movie, I guess, publicly. I am your resident Singapore Sling fan, Drusilla Adelaide.
Singapore Sling, the drink. Or the movie.
Yes.
Or both.
Cocktail maker.
How are you? How's it going?
I am good. The world is kind of wacky and weird right now. In a very odd way, and I just remember that I have to do my taxes, so there's some stress and anxiety, because if you live in California, we all got pushed back to October, which is a thing that I don't typically do, and so I've been like, yay, Halloween! Oh god, the scary thing is actually in October this year. Great. That's the true spookum of the year. But other than that, I've been lovely. I've been great. I had a lovely little date night movie adventure this weekend. Had a little date with my partner, Ivory. It was great. It was lovely. And it was all centered around the Burbank AMCs. And it was very gay. So, for listeners that do not live in SoCal or the Valley, Burbank, the place where they filmed the Johnny Carson show and nothing else, has 3 AMC movie theaters, 2 of which are in a mall. One of those 2 is in a parking garage, and the other one is like in a strip mall. And they are all within 2 minutes walking distance of each other. Whoever designed that, whatever like big money AMC money was slipped to like a city planner in Burbank, I don't understand, but it's sometimes convenient. So we planned on Saturday to see a couple very, very, very gay movies, and we decided to make a very nice little like date night evening of it, because they were they have finally put into theaters the latest film from Pedro Almodóvar, Strange Way of Life, which is a short Western film he made with Pedro Pascal and Ethan Hawke. It is his second English language effort, and because it's only a half an hour long, they paired it with his other short English language effort, The Human Voice, with Tilda Swinton.
I really want to see these.
And they packaged them as a double, and they're just playing them at like every art house theater across the country. So like if there's a like art house theater in your mall in like New Jersey, you can go see these. I highly recommend that you do. I had seen The Human Voice because it had a short run on HBO Max in like 2020 or something.
Mm-hmm.
But getting to see both of them in theaters was such a delight. For listeners that don't know, my partner and I first met at an Almodóvar double feature at the New Beverly.
Aww.
So it was a very like cute little moment. Both films are great. Strange Way of Life is super precious and beautiful. Human Voice is still, I think, better, but they're both incredible. I think Human Voice is flawless and perfect, and just because it's half an hour long doesn't mean it's not like a Sight and Sound list level, like 10 out of 10, perfect little movie. So we did that. We did that at an AMC in the mall.
Mm-hmm.
It was like an hour at the theater. Very cute. We got cocktails. We had a good time. And then we walked out of the mall, got dinner, and walked back into a different AMC elsewhere like 5 minutes, like 2 minutes away, to go see another extremely gay movie, from A24, Josh's beloved independent studio. And was objectively the gayest movie of the year, and for me the funniest movie of the year. So taking Bottoms down a peg, unfortunately. I love Bottoms.
Oh boy.
I love Bottoms so much. But now we have Dicks. Dicks the musical.
Oh, yes.
The first musical from A24, adapted from the like UCB off-Broadway musical Identical Fucking Twins.
Yeah.
And starring Megan Mullally, Nathan Lane, Megan the Stallion,
And crazy.
Bo and Yang,
Yeah.
the Sewer Boys, and directed by Larry Charles, who does the majority of like Curb Your Enthusiasm and wrote a lot of Seinfeld and directed Borat and shit. It is so goddamn fucking funny.
I can't wait to see that.
It's so fucking good. I saw
My
it
friend
earlier
wrote the
in
songs.
Their songs are fucking incredible.
Yeah, Carl St. Lucie, he's like an old theater friend, wrote all the songs. He's incredible.
They're so good. The whole soundtrack, the movie's only screening in LA, SF, and New York at the moment. It's going to get a wider release, I believe, later. Probably when this episode is out, you can go see it in fucking Skokie, Washington or whatever. But, like, the soundtrack is available on Spotify right now as I'm saying this, and it's so good. It's Megan Thee Stallion's first, like, solo song of the year, which is weird
so
considering
funny.
it's, like, a very goofy song about murdering men from this musical. It's basically an outrageously satirical retelling of The Parent Trap, but about two businessmen in New York City who discover that they are, in fact, long lost identical twins, despite the fact that they look nothing alike. And that they are, as an opening title card proclaims, LGBTQ plus gay men who are bravely portraying heterosexual men. It's very funny. It's very crass. It's very wrong. It's very gooey. It's very fucked up. It's very sexual. It's incredible. The songs are catchy as hell. We saw it like at 8:00 in Burbank, and the crowd had no idea what it was gonna be, and it was a mostly packed theater, and a lot of the people in that crowd were just like middle-aged or like 50-60-year-old white couples, and they were like rolling in the aisles and laughing, like losing their minds. Almost everyone in that theater was straight, and they thought it was the funniest thing they'd ever seen. It was so goddamn good. Ivory always gives me shit for being a theater kid and for being a very musical theater kind of person.
Yeah.
And she was singing along, so
I have to say, I'm really excited to see that. I love so many people that are involved. I'm a huge Megan Thee Stallion fan, of course, and my friend wrote all the songs. I generally stay away from things that have musical theater vibes. Despite
I
having been a
understand.
professional playwright and a theater kid
I
and
understand.
having gone to drama school. But, like, I can't do Pitch Perfect. I can't do Glee.
Yep.
I can't do anything like that at all. But this seems
not
like
that.
it's up my alley. Yeah. I'm really excited for this.
This is mean and funny and weird and crass, and it's incredible. It's so goddamn funny. I don't love the like trailer and marketing. I know a lot of people have been like saying that like this is A24's downfall. They're fucking up. This looks terrible. They're all idiots.
Yeah.
Just go see the movie. It's literally called Dix the Musical. If you are down for that, you're gonna be blown away by the movie. It's so fucking good. So fucking good.
Speaking of musicals, I have something that I keep forgetting to talk about on the podcast, which is that I have been commissioned by A.C.T. in San Francisco, which is one of the most prominent regional theaters in the country, to write a Halloween show.
What the fuck, Josh?
Starring Darren Criss of Glee. So
Bury
I've been
the
working
fucking
on...
lead, Budge.
So he's going to sing some songs and perform this like 20-minute show that I wrote for them for Halloween, and it's for their like big donors. It's their like gala show, and he's the celebrity they hired. So it's like kind of a small thing, but it's super fun. And I wrote this long piece about Darren Criss, like over 2020 in the pandemic, and then also he plays himself, and also over the writer's strike, went down an internet rabbit hole and got really into necromancy. So he like brings back to life all of these prominent like San Franciscans, like Levi Strauss, who's like, but they all come back as zombies, Evil Dead style. So you have like zombie Levi Strauss who talks like Yosemite Sam, and he sings Psycho Killer by the Talking Heads and like all of these quasi horror themes. So it's just like super fun, and I can't wait to go to San Francisco and see it at the end of the month.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I'm so flippin' jealous. That sounds so cool.
It's really fun. And in terms of things I watched, I did watch something that I've only seen once, and I saw it probably 25 years ago. So I rewatched on that excellent Criterion Halloween categories, one of them. I watched Todd Browning's Freaks.
I fucking adore Freaks.
How beautiful is that movie? I mean, I liked it when I saw it, but it's just been such a long time, and now I really love it. It's so sweet and beautiful and sad, and the pushback against it over time kind of makes sense to me on one hand, because people are so cruel and they hate seeing people that are like different than them, which is the sort of the point of the movie. But it's sort of shocking on the other hand, because the movie is so clearly, firmly planted in sympathy with the circus freaks and the people that love them. You know what I mean? It's very much on their side and from their point of view.
Todd Browning was very much like, he'd been trying to make that movie for years. He'd been made a bunch of like carnival movies. And I mean, I guess he's most known for doing Dracula.
Yeah.
The Bela Lugosi one. But, like, he worked as a Carney for years, and you can feel the love radiating off the screen. For the villains are, like, able-bodied, white, hetero people who are trying to, like, exploit them.
Yeah.
And they get their comeuppance in the end.
Yeah.
It's a very, like, traditional Hollywood story in that way, but it's told from such a, like, slanted viewpoint that it's so fun and exciting and, like, it's kind of the height of that pre-code kind of movie of like, I can't believe they're actually doing this. And it feels so like weird and ephemeral. I love that movie so much.
I loved it.
Bought a DVD of it at an estate sale like 3 months ago and was like, oh my God. And then a day later, Criterion announced that they were doing it. And I was like, well, fuck me then. Okay.
I mean, it's such an interesting watch because it is shocking anytime you see somebody who's like so different looking, you know, like on the subway, if you see somebody who's got like acid burns on their, like that sort of thing is really shocking at first. And that's natural human behavior. But then the movie undercuts that by just very quickly showing them like having meals together and brushing their teeth and doing all these mundane things. You're very quickly used to the way that they look. And then you're just in there with them. You're like in their point of view. And I also think the little person who's the female lead is so beautiful and glamorous and just like, looks like a proper movie star. I just was so struck by it this time. I don't know why. It struck me as so beautiful and special. Yeah,
she's incredible. The entire cast of that movie is incredible.
So good.
I remember when I was in college reading stories about the making of it, because it's also like kind of a notorious movie from the era, sort of like, I don't know, like Orson Welles' Magnificent Ambersons or something like that. That was like horrendously like recut by the studios and the censor so many times, and a lot of that like, there's always the myths of like the long lost ending and the lost footage and like the things that they shot but that we don't get to see. That's not a myth.
There's
a
20
lot
minutes
of that
missing. Yeah.
It's very, very short. And the ending is very sudden and jarring, but it's still very weird and subversive and insane that we go from one scene to this thing, and how the fuck did we get here? It doesn't matter. That's where we ended up. It's over. And I love that so much about this movie. But I remember there's like set photos of Todd Browning hanging out with the Carney cast of this movie. And apparently, like, the reports I've read are that, like, they would all have lunch together every day while shooting, and no one else from the crew would sit with them except for Todd Browning.
Yeah, I read in the wiki that they had their own special area that they were like sequestered to. You know what I mean? Like
they're the stars of the fucking movie.
Separate, yeah.
It reminds me, like, I mean, obviously, like, The Wizard of Oz is a super famous movie and like beloved, and there's a lot of like little actors that were, cast for that. But then there's been these like weird, like sort of like malicious like rumors that have persisted since the making of that movie, to the point that they made a Chevy Chase movie about it in the 70s, that like there was just a hotel run with little people like having orgies and burning the place down. Like it was like Ozzy Osbourne in the 70s, and it was like, none of that happened and they were horrendously mistreated. Why are we having Chevy Chase making a comedy about this? This is weird. Anyway, Under the Rainbow is available to rent on iTunes.
I would be curious to watch that, to be honest. I don't know. It seems like a car crash, but like there is something about that is interesting academically speaking.
Yeah. I think Carrie Fisher is like the romantic lead in it against him. It's everything about that just sounds wrong.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I guess it's worth your time if you've got nothing to do and feel like hating yourself. Speaking of movies that make you feel like hating yourself.
Yes. Oh boy. This is a wild one. This is one that you saw recently for the first time and talked about on the show. And we also got a listener request for this. I hadn't heard of this even until you brought it up. This is a movie from 1990, directed by Nikolaides. It is Singapore Sling, The Man Who Loved a Corpse. I don't really know how to talk about this movie. It is so outrageous and wild.
I was so ready to hop on this episode and have you yell at me. So
why?
We're on to a better start, because this is so we did Henry Portrait of a Serial Killer like just a few episodes ago, and now we're already back to like another late 80s, early 90s black and white roughie.
Well, I have a hot take, which is like, I don't really think that this is that rough. To me,
I agree.
It's so funny. It feels like it's a comedy, and there is a moment towards the end that I think is pretty rough. But mostly, it's like it feels like a 5-year-old talking about poop and boobs. You know what I mean? Like it's so playful and so it almost feels like Dadaism, like purposely stupid. Not too far from like 70s John Waters movies, I guess. So I didn't find it that rough, frankly.
Yeah, when I watched it myself, I didn't find it that rough. Earlier in the year, I watched it. I had a great time. I thought it was like visually striking, beautiful. I'm obsessed with it. The way this movie looks, with production design, the costume design. It reminds me. It reminds me of like Joseph von Sternberg movies with like Marlene Dietrich, like Scarlet Empress, and Blonde Venus. It reminds me of that, and it reminds me of like what Fassbinder was doing in the like late 70s and early 80s. It's very maximalist. It's very gorgeous. It's very well made. But then the content of it is batshit bananas. And it flies between being horrifying, grotesque, comedic, tender, like darkly romantic and like really fucked up in weird ways. And like playing with like weird ideas of like deconstructing like a meta narrative around like Hollywood genres of the 1940s, and then also with like BDSM and kink ideas to the most like to like what Puritans think BDSM and kink are in a really weird way. So I loved it the first time I saw it, and I was like, I had always known of Singapore Sling as being just another name on a list with like Cannibal Holocaust, Salo, like the like roughest roughies that ever existed. I always just saw it on that list, and I was like, can't watch that. And someone recommended it to me, said I would love it, and I was like, I'll give it a shot. And guess what I did? In advance of rewatching it for the podcast, it's finally become available again. It's streaming on the Criterion channel. God bless. I hope they put it out on disc. That would be insane. I really wanted to show it to my partner. And she didn't finish it. We turned it off.
Yeah.
It was super rough for her. And so I was like, oh yeah, this movie is rough for people. Yep. There is a lot of rape. There's a lot of vomit. There's a lot of piss. There's a lot of like making people vomit. And there's like part of some of the like BDSM relationships gets into like infantilism in a weird way that feels super bizarre. And so I was like, yeah, I guess. Oh, yeah. I forgot that this movie can be rough for people and isn't just a fun, weird movie to put on.
Yeah, there's rough moments in here for sure. I was really bothered by all the meal scenes where people are gagging because they're eating like disgusting raw meat, and you're like looking at close-ups of people eating this stuff and like gagging and throwing
But
up.
they're also like eating everything, like have a smorgasbord of a table, and they're just like shoveling food into their face until they can't fit anymore, and they have to puke it back up and then put more food in, and you're like, just stop eating. The meal is over when you're done.
There's also a scene at the end where one of the characters is kind of made to fillet a knife, and so that was pretty rough.
Yeah.
But in general, the movie to me felt so childish, and I don't mean that as a knock necessarily, but it just felt like so there's this is a tangent, but there's this thing in New York, and I think here too, called the Story Pirates, which is like a theater company for children ran by comedians, and they have children write stories and then they turn those into plays for the kids. So those will often be really goofy and have like a lot of poop in them. And there's one called Axe Cop, about a cop. The one that I saw called Axe Cop, about a cop who runs around with an axe and just like kills people. So they're often really violent and stupid and goofy. And that's how this movie felt to me. It felt like Axe Cop, you know?
Well, what's the plot? What happens in this movie?
Such as it is.
Set the stage for a new listener who's yet to be inducted.
For context, picture this movie in black and white and in square format, kind of like The Lighthouse. And it's kind of doing a neo-noir thing. So when we open, there's a man who's been shot in sort of in a trench coat, and he's like sort of an investigator detective type. It's pouring rain, and two women and a woman and her adult daughter are digging a hole because they
add right now that there is ambiguity as to whether or not these two women are actually related.
Yeah, that's true. They are digging a hole because they've murdered their chauffeur. He's not the first servant they've murdered. The man who's been shot is unconscious, so they find him and take him home. Is that how? No, he shows up at their house. Anyway, they end up having him in their house, and they kind of tie him up and are torturing him. The two women who may or may not be mother-daughter also may or may not be incestuous. They're certainly having sex. They're having sex with him. They sexually assault him many times. There's also like a meta play because the man is investigating the disappearance of his lover, who is named Laura, and it just so happens that these women had a servant named Laura that they murdered, and so they think this may be the same Laura. So the daughter starts to pretend to be Laura and has like a romantic storyline with this man who kind of starts to play into this fantasy as well. And then the power dynamics shift, and kind of the man is in charge, and that's kind of, I don't know how to pinpoint it closer than that.
Yeah. It's basically like if you imagined a Humphrey Bogart movie decided to have like some kinky power dynamic threesome play, a lot of consensual non-consent sex, a lot of rape, and as much like puke and vileness of John Waters and H.G. Lewis brought together.
Yeah.
And somehow looking as if like everyone is shot like they're Marlene Dietrich in the 30s with nothing but glamour lighting on them at all times. Like all the women are constantly wearing like super nice vintage lingerie with like open crotches as they're like digging holes in the mud and the dirt.
Yeah, it reminded me a little bit of, I mean, it looks beautiful. The women are wealthy and live in like a palace in the middle of nowhere. So in that regard, it reminded me of like Lair of the White Worm and like the snake woman in that. But it also made me think of Ticket of No Return by what's her name, Erika Ollinger or something. That German movie that I watched.
Yeah,
that movie stars a woman who doesn't speak, and her name is just her or she, and she's wearing like a really fancy ball gown in like the grit of East Berlin in the 70s, and so it kind of has that aesthetic. Like it's disgusting, but these women are often wearing like, you know, like bejeweled headpieces and fabulous ball gowns. And so there's like a tension between what's happening and the way it looks, because the way it looks is so beautiful and palatial and glamorous, and then everything that's happening is truly disgusting.
Mm-hmm. It also reminds me a lot of, there's a very famous Japanese horror movie from the 60s called Onibaba, which is about two women who live in the middle of nowhere during, I want to say, a war. It's set in a historical period. I do not know enough about feudal Japan to say what war and to say when, but they have like a pit in the middle of like the rice fields they've dug out to like ensnare like wandering men to like fall to their death onto spikes so they can go and they can like steal their valuables and sell them so they can like keep a living. And these two women are just like happy and comfortable with his life, like casually murdering men left and right until like a man comes into their life, and then they find a mask in their pit that one of them puts on, is unable to take off, and it leads to madness and drama and mental illness. It reminded me of that. It also reminds me a bit of Daughters of Darkness, with like, again, the like decadence and like, again, the decay of decadence.
Yeah. That made me think of Grey Gardens. I thought
that's the other thing. As I pitched this to Ivory as like H.G. Lewis's Grey Gardens, and on that she was sold. On the movie, she was not.
Yeah. There was one other thing that it made me think of, but I can't remember. Oh, the Jean Genet's The Maids, which is a play, but there's been like film adaptations.
Mm-hmm.
In the work of Jean Genet generally.
Yeah. As if Jean Genet did like meth and was like, and what if they were puking on each other? And you're like, okay.
For me, the hard part of this was not the content. It was like the pace and tone of it, because the whole movie is basically just insane people speaking into camera in a series of monologues, and
yeah,
so
there's very
like
Brechtian, like theatrical moments of like. So we get that little intro that each character kind of has a different like each character has a different language. Literally, the mother, quote unquote, is French. The detective is Greek. And the daughter, quote unquote, is American. And so they all speak different languages. The mother speaks a little bit of English, but primarily speaks French. And so they all have different languages, but they also have different like cinematic languages. When the camera is in the film is focused on the detective, we get really dramatic lighting. We get voiceover. It becomes a film noir movie. And him looking for a lost girl named Laura, and with a big portrait of a woman in the house. It's like directly recalling the Otto Preminger noir movie with Vincent Price, Laura. But then when we get the like, again, quote unquote, daughter's perspective, it becomes a lot more theatrical. Her mannerisms become a lot more infantile, despite the fact that in other moments she's a lot more lucid and adult. And she kind of has this like Brechtian performance to the audience of explaining herself and explaining their life in a way that feels like a justification of action. Feels like her being like almost accepting this naive innocence to justify hedonism and murder and all this insanity. That's the other kind of like main crux of this movie, in the same way that like Pasolini's Salo gets at, is that these are two women who are isolated and are overgorged on like sex and food, and they've taken everything to the nth degree. So they don't just have sex anymore. They have like rape fantasies that they play out with one another. They have incest fantasies that they are living in. Primarily, they're like objectively not related. That like these two women have like, they don't look the same, they don't speak the same language, they like are almost the same age. They're objectively not related, and yet they refer to each other as mother and daughter.
I don't think that's objective at all.
To me, that was, but
to me that was subjective, because I could believe it either way. I think that this movie I think what I was getting at is that this movie, for me, what was difficult about it was the pace. That's why I kind of gave it 3 stars instead of like 4 or 5, is because it's just insane women monologuing. It starts to feel a little bit like turgid to me.
Yeah.
But that's all. That's not a serious criticism.
It is a nearly 2-hour movie.
Yeah.
Of like torture and rape and torture, and then hey, they're gonna have lunch, so they're gonna have a food scene, and now it's puke. So and piss, and it is like every bodily fluid you could like shove in there, and then also organs.
I was really glad I watched this alone, because I will say, if I watched it with an audience, God forbid, or even just Joel, it would have been a lot more awkward. But like, watching this stuff alone was like was completely fine for me for the most part.
Yeah, that's kind of how I feel. I can't imagine like going to a movie theater to watch Singapore Sling.
Oh my God, I wouldn't go. I just simply wouldn't go.
It would honestly be very awesome to see Nicole Kidman's little AMC intro to lead straight into this.
I've often wanted to edit movies into that ad. Like, it's so funny. First of all, it's so funny and campy to me that she's watching Jurassic World, and those shots of her face, like in absolute awe and wonder at Jurassic World and La La Land and Wonder Woman 1984. It's so stupid and camp. But I always thought, like, wouldn't it be fun if you could edit in like clips from like Desperate Living or or Singapore Sling or Greasy Strangler? That'd be a lot more believable to me in some way.
Oh my Lord. So I've some of the conversations that I was having around this movie after we turned it off midway through were like the artistic merits of this movie. Because I mean, I've seen people compare this movie to Cannibal Holocaust, to compare it to Eli Roth's movies like Hostel, and to the Saw movies, just for being a movie about torture. That's a lot of torture and a lot of like things that are just there to shock you. I give this movie more credit than that. First of all, Nikos Nikolaides, the director, like, the dude was like born in the 30s and like started directing movies in Greece successfully in the 1960s, and like had a very long and successful career in Greece as a filmmaker. I haven't seen any of his other works, but like, this isn't just like the only thing he ever did. This isn't just like he had a career of only making horror movies. He was like a very well-rounded filmmaker. He made a lot of different stuff. And the aesthetics are gorgeous and incredible and outrageously well crafted, to the point that they give new context and meaning to the torture and bodily fluids and horrendous content that's on display in this movie. Which is why I think of this movie, if you think of it in the context of a roughie, I think of it more in the context of something like Pasolini's Salo, which is harder to watch for me, but I think only because it's in color.
I've never seen it. I've always avoided it because it seemed hard.
There's a whole sequence of that movie that's just people. What's the kindest way of saying this? Performing coprophagia.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Yikes.
I mean, it was made of chocolate on set, but that doesn't
still
change what you're watching. It's upsetting. But in the same way, like, that movie's upsetting with a purpose. It is using the work of the Marquis de Sade to discuss the extremes of fascism in Italy. I don't think Singapore Sling has the political aims that has in any way, shape, or form.
Sure.
But I do think it has this artistic aims. I think it has metatextual aims. I think it is speaking on art, and I think it is speaking on society. I don't know how much it is speaking on Grecian politics. I don't know. I do not claim to know much about Greece other than the few Costa Gavras movies I've seen. But I mean, do you find artistic merit in this movie outside of the mud and filth?
Sure. I mean,
Or are
I
the mud and
always
filth the artistic merit?
I don't know what this movie is trying to say or what his intents were, but I always give people the benefit of the doubt, right? Like I think there's merit in being provocative generally, and I am a fierce defender of the rights of filmmakers to do or say whatever they want. So, for example, sometimes you'll see people tweet like, producers, stop putting sexual assaults in your movies or whatever. And I understand the impulse behind a statement like that, but there's also really important, beautiful movies that have sexual assaults in them, right? Mm-hmm. And I don't think that there's anything that can't be in a movie, no matter how vile or offensive it is to me personally. That said, I don't know what this movie is about. I don't know what his intentions are. That's okay with me. I don't need to know. Yeah, is that an answer to your question?
I mean,
I don't know what this movie's about,
point.
And I think it's fine for me to not know. Like, I don't care that I don't know what this is about. I don't think a movie has to be about anything, right? Like, also, that's again, fair. Like, Dadaism is a whole artistic movement. It is a whole post-World War II kind of artistic movement for things to just be absurdist and Dadaist, and I'm fine with that too. But I would be interested in your interpretations of this, because I truly don't have a clue. And I don't mean that to be a knock on the movie. I just, I don't know what this is.
I mean, this is a movie that I think you can appreciate for, experiential value in terms of, actually being shocked and,
for sure that.
Wilded out. There's a wonderful shot in this movie that, the first time I saw it, just took me by storm. And when I watched it with Ivory, took her by storm, of the introduction of the quote-unquote father figure who is dead and mummified and is in a room full of chains, to which the quote-unquote daughter is engaging in physically with. And it's just such a insanely powerful image that it is both so moving and beautiful and grotesque, and I think that's such a great
and funny. It's goofy
and funny. Yeah,
it's goofy.
She's fucking a mummy.
Yeah,
we can giggle at that
while she does a monologue.
While she does a monologue about telling a story about a young underage sexual assault, which again, other context clues in the movie suggest is fictitious. It's a lot of the movie doesn't want you to know or want you to question the veracity of the statements from these characters. The only person that is quote unquote believable is this detective man who they call Singapore Sling, because he had a cocktail recipe in his jacket. Which, by the way, delicious cocktail. I love a gin cocktail. But I think that it can operate both as a piece of shock art and as a piece of Dadaist, almost surrealist, we're just going to do this thing to do this thing. But I also think that the aesthetics and the content of the movie does hint at intention, does hit at more meaning beyond that. Because again, it's steeping itself in the language visually of 1940s Hollywood.
Yeah.
It's steeping itself in film noir. Again, I don't know enough about Greece in the 1940s, but I know enough about Europe in the 1940s to make assumptions about what that could be commenting on. But then there's also these two women are isolated, are disconnected from the world, and committing atrocities in their own way. And it could also be a comment on that kind of ideology. It could be a comment on America. Again, all the characters having different nationalities feels very important.
There's also an idea of indulgence. They're enjoying these things, and so it kind of reminds me of the work of the author Otessa Moshfegh, where the characters are just really disgusting and sitting in it and kind of thriving in it, and it feels like that. It feels like a comment on that. And I think the strength of this is that you can imprint all kinds of things into it. You know, it's sort of like a criticism that's laid against David Lynch sometimes is that his movies are just weird for weird's sake and there's no meaning. I don't believe that. I think he knows what his movies are about, even if I don't.
Mm-hmm.
And they're strong enough visually that I can like use that visual image to kind of explore something internally within myself. And that's, you know, like there's a certain point where the movie leaves the filmmaker's hand and is in the audience's hands, and how they choose to take that movie and interpret that movie is on them and open to interpretation. And I think this does that pretty well.
I think Singapore Sling is a movie that is slightly more about the audience at times
than
it is about an idea. And I think that's both like in terms of wanting to play with the audience and fuck with the audience and see what it can do, see if it can make you laugh, see if it can make you care about these weird fucking characters, see if it can make you shocked and nauseous. But I also think that it like works as a Rorschach test on its audience, because it is so, like you're saying, so repetitive, and like it's 2 hours of like not much else other than this happening. So it starts to take on an almost transcendental meditation, like Rorschach test of just like, you have to sit with this and think about this.
Yeah.
You have to sit with these characters and think about these characters and try to extrapolate beyond just what you're seeing. And so it makes you think about yourself. It makes you think about the intentions of these characters, and it makes you project yourself onto the characters more to fill in the gaps that are missing.
I also think, you know, we've been spending a lot of time in these waters with Henry Portrait of a Serial Killer and this, and John Waters' 70s movies being in the discussion, and, you know, the Megan Thee Stallion musical and Bottoms, and like, there's like a, you know, a whole sort of diaspora of these kind of like shocking movies that we've been watching a lot lately. And I do think, as much as we talk about edgelords, which is a conversation that I understand, I am reminded lately that there is value in provocation for its own sake, and that we need that. Yeah, I don't know. I've just been thinking about that a lot.
Very, very much so. I think this is one of the most provocative and challenging movies of the past 40-some years. I can't think of anything since this that is as provocative and challenging in a way that is of a like strong artistic merit and isn't like shock for shock's sake in like a kind of sleazy way, like Hostel or a Serbian film or something like that. Which I do understand that a Serbian film is intended to have political meaning and political criticism, but it is so beyond. It is so buried within a reverie of horrendousness that it's hard to like parse it out. I don't know. I find Singapore Sling to be one of the more fascinating. It feels like it is not from when it is from.
No,
it's from
it
1990.
doesn't.
It visually and sonically is like doing everything it can to put you in the 1940s. And therefore, it feels kind of unstuck from time. And when I first watched this movie, I assumed it was from the 70s.
I did too. Joel asked me what I was watching. I was like, oh, this Greek movie, I think it's from the 60s or 70s. Because it does feel like that.
Well, it also reminded me of The Cremator in that way, too.
Yeah, totally. By the way, I love a black and white movie in a square format.
I fucking love a black and white movie so much. I love the beauty of black and white. And I'm going to say, I've never been more grateful for a movie's content to be in black and white. Because if you thought this movie was rough in black and white, it would be almost unwatchable in color.
I do maintain that this movie was not nearly as rough as I thought it was going to be, because I was expecting something closer to like a Serbian film or a Spit on Your Grave. And instead, this is closer to Pink Flamingos, which is a disgusting movie that's not always easy to sit through, but at least it's like funny and goofy.
It's funny and like gorgeous, and like as many scenes that you are either like repulsed by or bored by or nauseous by, there'll be another one that's so visually striking or so funny or so strange that it just keeps you in it. So I don't know. I think this movie is great and very, very, very powerful. I would be very interested to see reactionary Twitter audiences that are very like, no sex scenes in movies,
Yeah.
please.
Oh, not for them. This is not for them.
Watching Singapore Sling. But that's the thing. It's like this movie was unavailable for so long. It like had a DVD like 20 years ago from Synapse Films. And that you could only buy on their website. You can't get it anywhere else. You have to go to Synapse Films' website and buy the old DVD of this. It's not available on Amazon. It's nowhere else. But now it's on the Criterion channel.
It's streaming on Criterion, which is wild. And I don't know. I feel like the culture is kind of shifting. You know, the past 5 or so years, people have been very sensitive for reasons that make total sense. Mm-hmm. But now, because of like Bottoms and what's the musical called? Dix, the musical. Like, I feel like the culture is kind of shifting again, and people are kind of lightening up a little bit. One of the only times I was like attacked en masse was because I tweeted about watching and loving the movie Angel from the 80s. And I was called a pervert and a pedophile because it's like, high schooler by day, Hollywood hooker by night or whatever. It's like a totally trashy movie from the 80s. And then I was attacked as being a pedophile for liking this movie that lots of people have liked since the 80s. And then I dug a little deeper, and of course it was all TERFs, because it always is. Yeah. But also,
I don't
know.
You're a gay man watching, like, you're not sexually attracted to Angel. Like,
no.
So beyond silly. Good Lord.
But even if I were, I mean, you know, it's just a trashy 80s movie with an adult playing a teen. You know what I mean? Like, it's not worth getting your panties in a bunch. It's a movie that no one has seen from 40 years ago. Like, lighten up.
Well, friend of the podcast, BG Colangelo, and her wife Harmony, who have their podcast. They love
that movie.
This Ends at Prom. They love that movie. They love that trilogy. They watch them all the time.
Yeah, it's super fun and trashy and just like a fun night in. It's like nothing to get worked up about. All that's just to say, like, I think there's going to be I think we're in the start of a cultural shift where people are going to lighten up a little bit about these things, but I wouldn't show them this. I think this is like a bridge, 2 or 3 bridges too far from that, for some people. I don't know who I would recommend this to. Only like lovers of like the most extreme cinema, I think.
If you love extreme cinema, if you love beautiful art house cinema, if you like challenging films, I mean, like, I feel like if you like Fassbinder, if you like Lars von Trier, if you like Joseph von Sternberg, if you like Buñuel, like, there's
70s John Waters.
70s John. I feel like there's a chance you'll probably really dig this. And even if you don't, I feel like you will at least appreciate watching something that is new and fresh and weird that, like, you haven't seen before. It's a very interesting watch, and it's a very compelling watch that, like, I'm very glad that a listener reached out and requested that we do this, and she was right. Like, this is a really interesting, fun movie that I love talking about because there's so many different weird ways into it, and not enough people have seen.
Yeah, I agree. Well, let's change directions and play Have They Seen It, the game where we speculate wildly whether notable figures have seen this movie. I have someone in mind. He's another notable Greek filmmaker. Do you think Yorgos Lanthimos has seen this?
Oh, yeah. Oh,
it feels like there's a path from this movie to Yorgos Lanthimos.
I can definitely see the, like, lineage of, like, this to Dogtooth. I can absolutely see that. Yeah. In the same way that I can, like, see the lineage from, like, Viridiana all the way up to, like, Women on the Verge of Nervous Breakdown and Almodóvar from Buñuel. Like, I can definitely see both a national identity and a very specific, like, flavor of both, like, wanting to be a provocateur and, like, doing so with artistic intent in a really exciting way. I think he's absolutely seen this movie, and I feel like he really loves it. Do you think the same?
Yes. And by the way, I can't wait to see Poor Things. I'm so excited.
No, all the movies have been saying over the past few weeks. The trailer has been playing before it all, and it's the shortest trailer of every trailer package, and it tells you barely anything, and I get so excited every single time. I cannot wait for Poor Things so bad.
Very excited.
This movie was made in 1990, presumably shot in the late 80s in Greece. I don't know at what point it made its way stateside to the US, and I tried to like track down to see if there was like a VHS release in the 90s in America, and it doesn't look like there was.
Mm-hmm.
So I have no idea. It had to have played film festivals. It was probably one that circulated on bootleg tapes for a while. But the fashion in this movie is so fucking good. Mm-hmm. And again, it's like so like drenched in like 1940s Hollywood like styles that then you're covered in like fingerless lace gloves and lingerie that feels super of the 80s.
Yeah.
So speaking of people who love to wear fingerless lingerie in the 80s, and we're up to some wild sex shit in black and white in the 90s, do you think Madonna has seen Singapore Sling?
You know, I thought of Madonna a lot during this movie for all the reasons you just mentioned.
Yeah.
I would say, yeah, I know that she's a big cinephile. She's a big world cinema fan. The aesthetic of this does remind you of like the famous MTV Video Awards performance where she's wearing her fingerless. It's like the Virgin. It's like a Virgin, that performance where she's in a wedding dress and writhing around on the stage. Yeah, I think she's seen this. I think she would be into this.
Yeah, I feel like this is the kind of thing that like if you're invited to a party at Madonna's house, this is just like projected on a wall, and you're like, okay. I'll guess the orgy's starting in 5 minutes then. All right. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
I feel like she has like a book of stills from Singapore Sling that whenever she does photo shoots, she like shows them to the director and is like, David LaChapelle, maybe we should do something like this. And he's like,
yeah.
Or not.
Absolutely not.
We don't have the chain budget, darling. I'm so sorry.
Speaking of David LaChapelle, do you know what I just rewatched that's so beautiful and people slept on it? Is the Amy Winehouse music video for Tears Dry on Their Own, which he directed and shot.
I haven't seen it.
It's Sunset Boulevard, and it's Amy in hot pants and really sad, and she's just walking down Hollywood Boulevard, and there's like all sorts of like weird shirtless muscle men and like trans sex workers around her, and like the insides of filthy hotel rooms off Hollywood Boulevard, and it's just like a long sad walk down Hollywood Boulevard on a hot day, and it's all David LaChapelle, so it's beautifully filmed and looks great. And I love that song, and I miss Amy Winehouse.
I miss her so much. She did not get the respect, and the biopic they're about to make about her is going to be trash because it's being produced by her father.
Yikes! One of the worst people.
One of the worst people.
Awful.
Lord.
I think it's my turn, and I have a crazy one in mind, and only because this person has a Greek last name. Do you think that funny man, actor, comedian Zach Galifianakis? How do you say his name?
Galifianakis.
Yes, that name.
Galifianakis.
Galifianakis.
Say it with me. Galifianakis.
Zach Galifianakis. I can't say it. Of The Hangover.
Josh famously hates the Greek.
I don't. I love them. I love their food. I'd love to go there. I love their myths. I don't know. Zach G. Do you think Zach G has seen this movie?
I don't think so.
No, I don't think so either.
I feel like if any like comedian or comic actor has seen this, I think it's Patton Oswalt. At best, I think Patton Oswalt has seen this. Mm-hmm. I don't think Patton Oswalt likes this movie, but I think he saw it one time in the 90s at Kim's Video or some shit like that.
Yeah.
But I don't think
remember
Zach Galifianakis has.
Zach created the show Baskets, which is like pretty arty and weird.
Yes, he did. Yeah. I mean, I feel like I still think he hasn't, but I do think he would like it.
Yeah.
I think he would like it as a like, what in fuck is this? I mean, ideally, I want to say that like, while he was making Due Date with Robert Downey Jr., the two of them watched it together at Robert Downey Sr.'s house. But I really doubt that happened. For a lot of reasons.
I doubt that somehow too. Yeah.
Okay, so contemporary audiences in America, especially this era, when they think about Greece and Greek culture, they typically think about two things. My Big Fat Greek Wedding and its many sequels, and Mamma Mia and its many sequels.
So, yeah.
Both of those projects are absolutely nothing like Singapore Sling in any way, shape, or form.
No.
But they were both produced by the same two people. Tom Hanks and Rita Wilson. Do you think that Rita Wilson and or Tom Hanks have seen Singapore Sling?
What if I was like, Tom, no, Rita, yes?
That's the most believable one.
I don't believe that. I think no. But then I went down a rabbit hole about like Chet Hanks. Has he seen this? And I think no. AKA Chet Hayes. Do you know about Chet Hanks?
Oh, I know about Chet Hanks and his patois.
Yeah. Oh boy. Colin Hanks, I love. Great actor.
I think if any of the Hanks clan has seen this, I'm going to say maybe Colin Hanks.
I agree.
He seems the most
star
adventurous.
of Roswell. Yeah. Agree. I think
Star of
he's
Orange County.
He's like the most intellectual, I think, of that clan. Not that any of them are dumb except for Chet. It's just like, I think Chet is actively stupid. I think Tom and Rita are kind of just too normcore.
I would love Chet Hanks to watch this movie, though.
What are these balloons? Did you just see
no
that?
idea. I did. What
Listener, we were just sitting here. I did not touch any buttons, and suddenly cartoon balloons passed over my screen on my camera. I have no idea where they came from. I did not touch any buttons. That was
surprise!
wild.
It's your birthday.
It happened when I said normcore. Is that the secret word? No, it didn't happen again.
Is that the word of the day, Cherry? Oh, Lord. Oh, my God.
How wild. Well, listen, that's it for this episode of Bloodhouse. There's no better thing to go off on than cartoon balloons that came out of nowhere. Thank you so much for listening. If you liked this, please rate it 5 stars wherever you listen to podcasts. You can email us at bloodhousepod@gmail.com. You can follow us on Twitter or Instagram. Drusilla, where can people follow you?
You can find me and my art over at sisterhidedesign.com. Cure prints are coming, I promise. I'm just waiting on them. So you can buy them over there. You can follow me on social on Instagram if you look for Hyde Sister. And if you search Sister Hyde or Drusilla Adeline on Letterboxd, you can follow me there. And you can figure out what I thought of a weird Chevy Chase movie from the 80s and why Fletch lives better than Fletch.
Oh, hot take.
Josh, what about you? Where can people lurk on you at the wee small hours?
I'm still laughing about the balloons. I am on Blue Sky and Instagram and Letterboxd at Joshua Conkle. Now, next week is super special because it's our Halloween special.
It's going to get spooky and addicted.
We are doing a double feature on the theme of addiction, and it's also a highbrow, lowbrow double feature. What are the titles that we are watching?
We're going to be very, 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 very artsy with David Cronenberg, and maybe his artsiest film of all time. We will be watching his adaptation of William S. Burroughs' Naked Lunch, which you will be needing, like, note paper to understand, and, like, it's incredible. And then we will be very, very, very much in the gutter for Frank Henenlotter's Brain Damage.
I cannot wait for that. Thanks for listening. See you next week. Bye-bye.